Hello, babes. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new, welcome. So in today's video, I wanted to discuss toxic motherhood. Oftentimes, we celebrate mothers and motherhood, which we should when we have loving, beautiful mothers who put their all into raising and nurturing their children. Although they are human and make mistakes, they still strive to be the best parents they can be and create a healthy environment for their kids. But what's not spoken about enough is toxic motherhood and how some mothers treat their daughters like competition and create unsafe, unhealthy environments for them and are their first bullies and haters. So let's get into it. I do want to give you babes a trigger warning because we will be discussing certain topics like abuse. So just before watching the video, I just want to let you babes know that. Toxic mothers are usually women who are so consumed by male validation that being validated by a man means more to them than the well-being of their daughters. They're the mothers who don't like women, and when they have daughters, those girls suffer under their authority. They treat their daughters like personal chefs, caretakers, babysitters, homemakers, and the worst, punching bags. She's the type of woman who puts men above her children and treats her son as if he is the greatest thing in the world. She'll also be one of those toxic boy moms who makes the worst mother-in-law who doesn't know her place or boundaries, and if she has another daughter, what she'll do is cause competition between the two and have a favorite, while the other one is the black sheep and the other one is the golden child.
He punches them. I'm like, maybe he's having a hard day.
The first time I read this news story, I had never heard the term boy mom and was unaware of that very specific dynamic that term was talking about. And I just could not fathom a mother standing there and watching one of her children murder another one. And now the more I learn about boy moms, and I will say that in air quotes, like that very specific relationship or dynamic, the more I understand how things like this happen. And when women say that like his mother enabled him or their mother-in-law like enabled their husband, I get it.
Oftentimes, women like this are deeply disturbed and cause contention everywhere they go, from home to the workplace. She can't keep friends because she doesn't like being confronted about herself. She's narcissistic and she doesn't care about anyone unless it revolves around a man. Even though my mother poured love into me and would never choose a man over her children, well, my parents have been married for over 30 years. However, I do have relatives who have dealt with this. I watched my parents step in to be that parental role model and even cut ties with certain family members because of it. Witnessing these kinds of relationships is heartbreaking. I know for me, I would cry hearing what my cousin had gone through, and even when relatives step in, there is still so much trauma that child has already endured. It hurts deeply to watch someone you love go through that, so I can only imagine how difficult and emotionally straining it is to actually live through it as a child.
The life that I was living was different from a lot of other kids around me, and I felt like all of the adversity that came my way dealing with my mom, who could have easily destroyed me. Like literally, she told me she would destroy me to my face.
Your mother said that to you?
My mother said that to me. She said, I will dog you for the rest of your life, to my face.
How old were you?
I was about, I had to be, that was when I was hiding in my mother's closet. I had pre-recorded something because she wouldn't talk to me, and I was trying to get her to speak to me. And my cousin and I pre-recorded on the little tape cassettes, and I hid in her closet of my grandmother's home, her mom, hoping that when she came home, I could just press play, she would listen, and I poured my heart out, like just saying, you don't have to speak to me, you don't have to, we don't have to be friends, you don't have to call me your daughter, but can you at least speak to me, acknowledge me, let's try to have a friendship. And when she came home, I remember my heart was just beating out of my chest, and I think it was around 11, 12, I think. And she came in, she figured out what was going on. She was like, who is there? She opened the closet door, she pulled all the clothes and things off of me, grabbed me out of there, took the recording, and she was livid. She was livid. My grandmother was home. It was her mom. And she told me, I don't have a daughter. She pretended like, I didn't exist, but she was livid. She had a conversation with my grandmother, her mom, and she told her mother to her face, I've never had a child. She's like, I've never had a child. And my grandmother, for the first time ever in my life, I saw her take up for me. Like, why can't you just speak to her? Why do you have to treat her that way? And my mother was like, I've never had a child. I don't know what you're talking about. They were arguing, and I just remember crying. My cousin was crying. And after she was done speaking to my mom, her mother, she came to me and she said, I will dog you for the rest of your life. She was like, I will never be your friend. I will dog you I will never forget those words. And that was, after that, I think it just left me feeling like that's the end of it, that was the end of it. And I don't know what happened to me, but over time, I think I just developed like this thick skin that said, I'm going to show her wrong. Like, you're not going to destroy me. And she tried everything that she could try. It was so crazy because I remember I won my second pageant. So I was 16. And that pageant, you didn't have to reveal your age. So the first one you did, I was 13 or 14. So the second one I entered, I won. Anyway, my mother was calling the pageant director and was telling her I was an alcoholic, I was dating this older man, I was all of these horrible things, and that I should not be her beauty queen. I was a horrible representation. And she tried to get my crown taken away. And I remember having this meeting with both of my grandmothers being there her name was Rosa Robinson. And both of my grandmothers had to come, and it was like a trial. And I was on trial fighting to keep my first crown that I ever won. And it was all because of my grandmother. I have all the proof, the letters, I have everything in my safety deposit box.
For the past few years, I've seen videos of women throwing tantrums at their gender reveals when they find out they were having daughters. And what no one seems to talk about is that while yes, some of these mothers want a son to experience the quote-unquote love they never received from men and form this strange, emotionally unhealthy bond with him, they also don't want a daughter because they don't want to relinquish attention or love to another girl. They don't mind if it's a baby boy, but in their minds, a baby girl means competition. Another little girl stealing daddy's attention, love, affection, and time. They have all kinds of chaotic thoughts running through their warped minds because there is nothing more threatening to them than another woman, even if it's an innocent baby girl. They start thinking about how much attention that little girl will receive, and the twisted wheels in their heads begin turning. The mother, who is so male-centered that she sees her daughter as competition, will even make her daughter feel guilty for developing early as though it's somehow her fault. She'll call her fast, accuse her of wanting attention, or shame her simply because she developed quicker than other girls.
It's so crazy how much mothers sometimes can hate their daughters. Not their sons, but their daughters. Like, women are so envious of other women that they're even envious of their daughter.
You don't get pissed when people stare, because you are asking for it.
You want to go be a fucking adult?
Oh, I'm asking for it?
You are asking for it. I told you, as clear as day, the conversation that we had earlier, as clear as day,
These unhinged women sexualize their daughters and literally don't even realize it. You're actually imagining how a man will see them through your weirdo, disgusting, creepazoid-ass eyes. But beneath all of that is insecurity and anger, because there is nothing worse to a pick-me, male-centered woman than watching the rise of a young girl she deems as competition. Meanwhile, that little girl is still playing with dolls and doesn't even think about boys. All she wants to do is play, be a child, and spend time with her friends. But her mother has convinced herself that she's the enemy. Which is why I am of the mind that you cannot trust every woman, and you need to vet your friendships, because some women will put you in harm's way and actually hate women. However, some women who are trusting and don't think that way don't realize that there are women out there who hate women and will do any and everything to destroy you as a woman because they are so envious, jealous, and are devious. Every woman is not a girl's girl, and just because she's a woman doesn't mean she's to be trusted. And another thing is why I believe you need to leave pick-me's where they are. I am not trying to save a pick-me, male-centered woman, especially if she has very problematic views. Nothing she says will convince me that she doesn't still hold those views. If you side with problematic and very harmful things against women, I'm sorry, but I have nothing for you. And one thing I do want to say is you also as well need to vet women who have mommy issues. Not all of them are evil and have bad intentions for women, but because of that trauma, and if they do not get therapy, they don't make the best of friends. They as well do the same thing where they see their friends as competition, where they are catty, they're disrespectful, they're gossipy, and they will do anything to tear you down. The same way you vet your relationships, vet your friendships, because a woman who has mommy issues, if she has not dealt with those mommy issues, can be very problematic. But back to the video. She'll even try to destroy the relationship her daughter has with her father because through her dark and insecure lens, her spot is being threatened and she feels she must eliminate the competition. She hates that her daughter is receiving love from the man she herself craves validation from. Don't even get me started on how these women will coddle their sons, grown sons, and treat them like kings while turning their daughters into little Cinderellas. We often talk about evil stepmothers, but not enough about the toxic mothers who hate the daughters that came from their own wombs. They pour all of their hatred onto them. Hating a child you birthed has to be one of the darkest, most insidious things. Wanting to cause your child pain and trauma instead of love them is twisted and disturbing. Some of these women resent their daughters because they see them as having a fresh start, an opportunity to become who they themselves never could be. So they feel the need to tear them down. They become their daughters' first bullies before school, before playgrounds, before the outside world ever gets to them. Their first tormentors are their mothers. They shame their weight, skin, hair, height, personality, everything. They put these girls through hell while pouring all of their love into men, and those same men often dog them out in return. That's where a lot of their karma comes from, the very men they worship. Some of them even put their daughters in harm's way by bringing random men around because they're so desperate for male attention that they don't care who they expose their children to. And God forbid something happens to that little girl, they'll blame her, treat her like the villain, and accuse her of lying. Some of you truly have no business having children, like that nutcase Tokyo Tony. You have nothing to offer a child except trauma and pain. It's disturbing how some women will choose a man over a child simply because they're lonely and desperate. It makes me sick. I truly believe people should have parenting classes and therapy before bringing children into this world, because just because you can have a child does not mean you should. I also want to touch a little on motherhood within Black households. I am so sick and tired of beating children being the automatic response to misbehavior. That has been going on for decades, and what has it truly solved? A lot of the time it's just adults taking their anger and frustration out on children because they don't know healthier ways to discipline them. No one is saying you can't discipline your child. There's a difference between discipline and abuse. What also isn't talked about enough is abuse of Black mothers who are constantly put on pedestals while their children are taught to respect, and simply because they gave birth to them, all while being verbally, mentally, and physically abusive. Please don't even get me started on the mothers who call their daughters bitches. I am convinced some of you genuinely hate women and girls. For example, recently Blue Ivy attended the Met Gala with her mother, who is Beyonce, who we all know, who was co-chair. She wore sunglasses, and then a few people asked her to take them off, like Julius, her father, and Yvette, which is the family's publicist. I'm sure she may have kept them on because she was nervous, and cameras can absolutely be intimidating, and that doesn't mean she didn't want to go, because some of you weirdos push this narrative that Beyonce is trying to force her daughter into things when you can willingly participate in something and still be nervous. I loved stage plays and talent shows growing up, and I would still be nervous beforehand, even as an experienced dancer and with performance. But the amount of comments I saw from Black women saying they would have smacked her glasses off her face, beat her, or had her on the floor was insane.
She was not at none of the award shows that called for sunglasses. So Beyonce's manager, they all said, take the glasses off. They said, take the glasses off. Baby Miss Blue Ivy looked at her like, and then honey Beyonce's stylist went up to this girl and said, take the glasses off. They was motioning her to take the glasses off. She didn't take them off. Then Jay-Z went after her to take the glasses off. She didn't take them off. Miss Sting, honey, you're not at any of those award shows that called for sunglasses, honey.
Call Miss Tina. You gotta call the grandmama.
You had to call somebody, honey. She just looked at them and didn't take the glasses
Miss
off.
Tina would have gave her a look. Them glasses would have came off by themselves.
They would have came off by themselves. I'm like, wait a minute, Miss Blue Ivy. First of all, girl, you weren't supposed to be there. Because she's too young. You got to be 18 to go to the Met Gala. And they went ahead and made exceptions for this girl. And she's going to be acting like that and not taking her glasses off, girl.
Your mom and dad tell you to do something, you got to do it.
I couldn't believe what my eyes were reading. I really had to look at and say, huh? Am I reading what I think I'm reading? Am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? You would smack your child's glasses off her face. You would beat her until she was on the ground. I'm convinced some of you would do worse if you could get away with it. Y'all are sick, demented individuals. I mean, I know some of it is because you guys can't stand Beyonce, so you would want to hurt her child, which is even scarier because some of you are mentally unstable. But the comments that I saw just let me know that a lot of you need help in healing and you don't need to have children. And if you do, I feel so sorry for those poor children. You're the type of parents who don't believe in anxiety or depression while simultaneously being the source of it.
Black mothers will not admit it, but they have already come into your teenagehood with a preconceived notion that you're going to rebel. Before you was even like 5 or 8, they had the preconceived notion in the back of their head that you're going to start growing independence and you're going to rebel against them. They automatically correlate black teenagehood to rebellion, especially when it comes down to their daughters. These black mothers love their black daughters when they're babies, but they fear the day when you become 16, 17, and 18. I will never forget the day I was in the car with my auntie, my cousin, and her 3-year-old child. And mind you, her 3-year-old have lots of personality, very extroverted, loud, and very energetic. And my cousin was like, y'all, she's a lot. She's just too much to handle. And my auntie was like, yeah, wait till she turns 16. A lot of these black moms have already, before you was even like 5 or 8, they've already judged your teenagehood. They already said when you become a teenager, you're going to be rebellious, you're going to have a bad attitude, you're going to get smart with them. So by then, they're going to have to toughen up on you and be strict with you because you're going to be that kind of daughter. This is exactly why when their daughters turn 15, 16, 17, 18, they all of a sudden become strict. They be yelling, disrespectful, dismissive. It's because when you was already like 7, 8, 5, people around them was telling them when she becomes 16, you better watch out for her, especially if you was very active, energetic, extroverted. They already, stereotype you to be that kind of teenager. This is why as soon as you became a teenager, they became all of a sudden mean because they already planned out how they're going to parent you. A lot of these black mothers resent the day their black daughters became teenagers, but not the same energy for their sons, because when their sons became older in age and more independent, they automatically saw their sons as protectors. They rejoiced when their sons became older in age because now their sons in a position to protect them. But when it comes down to their black daughters becoming older in age, they correlate that with being fast, being grown, thinking that they know it all. A lot of these black moms are not going to admit it to you, but if they were really real with you, they would tell you that they resent black teenagehood, especially on their daughters.
You call black children slow or use slurs against children with developmental disabilities. You don't believe children deserve rest. You can't differentiate responsibility from turning your children into robots and running your household like a child labor sweatshop. The only way you know how to correct a child is through fear and physical harm. You don't want your child to respect you. You want them to fear you. You play God in your parental role and believe your children should bow to you, never having opinions, feelings, or questions of their own. You tell your children to stop crying before you give them something to cry about when you were the reason they were crying in the first place. That is abuse. And that is why we have so many people out here who have anxiety and people who isolate themselves and don't want to be around people, as well as people pleasers, because they've always been told to shut their emotions down and that their feelings don't matter because they're a child. That is abuse. You may not want to acknowledge it because the word feels heavy, but that is exactly what it is. I'm just so sick of seeing people excuse the behavior, toxic behavior within our community and act as though, oh, that's normal. No, it's not normal for you to want to beat your child because they quote unquote misbehaved, or they asked you a question, or they felt a way about something. You as an adult need to regulate your emotions because it's clear you have issues. But back to toxic mothers. You are not a safe space for your children. Many of your children are only around you because they have no choice while they're still dependent on you. And please stop this guilt of using all I did for you and everything that I did for you against your children once they become adults and decide they want nothing to do with you. Rightfully so. You are the parent. Providing for your child is what you are supposed to do. You don't deserve confetti for doing the bare minimum and elaborate celebrations, while your abuse gets excused simply because you paid bills and bought necessities. The moment many daughters become old enough to escape your abusive grip, they run far away from you. You cause so much damage that they struggle to trust people, repeat toxic cycles, or even develop unhealthy friendships and relationships with other women because their mother was the first woman to ever break them down. And sadly, some of them grow up to become the very women who hurt them because pain that goes unhealed often gets passed down to the daughters. If you grew up with mothers like this, I truly urge you to do the inner work, get therapy, heal, and please don't enter relationships without addressing those wounds because unhealed trauma attracts unhealed people and very unhealthy dynamics. You did not ask for the mother you got, but you absolutely deserve love. You were not a slut because you developed early. You were not wrong for liking makeup, dressing up, or embracing your femininity while your mother projected her jealousy and insecurities onto you. What you deserved was a mother who guided you, uplifted you, told you that you were beautiful, and reminded you that you could accomplish anything if you worked for it. I know healing can be hard, but please don't give up on yourself. You are worth more than gold, and it is not your fault that your mother was incapable of properly loving a daughter. Work on the wounds that developed from growing up in that environment, because what you don't want is to push other women away due to the toxic relationship you had with your mother. Mommy issues are absolutely real, just like daddy issues, and they can show up in friendships, romantic relationships, and your relationship with yourself. Don't become the woman who tormented you. You deserve freedom, and you can't truly be free if you tear down the toxic walls your mother built around you. I also want you to reconnect with the things your mother shamed you for as a little girl. Whether it was makeup, fashion, hair, dancing, or simply expressing yourself, get back into it. Reconnecting with those things can help heal the little girl inside who was taught she needed to shrink herself to survive. Don't let your toxic mother and her ways of thinking win. Flourish. Be the woman you wish you had growing up. And if you choose to have children, the mother she could never be. Loving, healthy, thriving in a safe space for your daughters. And with that being said, this video has come to an end. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Also, make sure your notification bells are turned on so that you always know when I upload. And I will catch you guys in the next one.